Hello. There are roughly three things I do to ease internal tensions when I'm feeling anxious or depressed or frustrated by something. One thing I do is write things down. I find contextualizing things, as I put it, helps. So if I'm trying to make a big decision, I write the pros and cons. Um, Another thing I do, I like to relax in coffee shops. I think a lot of people do that. Something I've always found relaxing. Incense, candles, those sort of things help. But another thing I do is I speak. I talk into the camera like I'm doing now. And this video is going to be a little bit different because it's very personal. Um, I'm not even 100% sure I'll upload this, but what the hell, see what happens. So, I've been uploading videos now on YouTube for, I think, roughly 7 years. I think the first one was 2012. That's about 7 years. And I have covered a very wide range of subjects. I've made literally, I think now over 2,000 videos, which I think is fair to say it's a lot for any channel. Um, there's going to come some point, I don't know exactly when, but at some point I'm going to really, really spend time editing, trimming things down a bit, maybe deleting videos that are repetitive, and so on. But I want to just speak a little bit about the position I take on commentary because this is quite an important thing. Firstly, I'm very grateful for having this platform. So I guess I have to thank the guys at YouTube for providing me, along with millions of other people, with a platform to basically share my views with the world. In a sense, it's no longer a novelty because a lot of people do it. Nevertheless, it's quite something to think that what I'm saying right now, tomorrow, someone in Kansas City, in Toronto, in Rome, in Berlin, in Tokyo, in Sydney could be watching that, or indeed in Middlesbrough, in Leeds, in Glasgow, within my country. So that is an interesting concept. With my videos, there's no way to tell what's going to be successful and what's not, or what's going to be widely viewed and what's not. There's no trend. There's no particular type of video that gets more views than others. Sometimes I know if something's particularly topical, there's a chance it'll get more views. But the videos that I've had that have had thousands of views, I wouldn't say they're particularly more relating to subjects that are more in the news than other videos I make. Um, anyway, as a general rule, I leave the comment section open, probably on literally about 99% of my videos. Very occasionally I block comments. The reason being is because I've seen the comment thread get quite ugly and some people turning on others, and I'm not going to allow my channel become a platform for that sort of cyberbullying, which is what it descended into. So I block comments. But I feel that I would leave myself open to charges of hypocrisy if I was talking about a wide range of issues, but I wasn't allowing people to dissent, to disagree with me. So I've always been very careful about that. I've always basically left it open. If you want to disagree, it's fine. There's been occasions where I've blocked because it ended up just a tirade of personal abuse against myself. And the thing about allowing a platform is you are under no obligation to do that. It's a bit like if there's a talk show, a host can usually make a decision about who they invite on their show. And the whole thing about, particularly in Western liberal democracies, we really, really value the whole concept of freedom of expression. So, I believe in that. So I'm well aware that if I block comments, people will say, oh, well, you're a hypocrite. Because you say you believe in free expression, but you're not allowing dissenting views. So I try to avoid that issue. But some people might wonder, why do I not respond to comments? At least I haven't been doing it recently, not since I've returned to China, or very, very little. Okay, so I'm going to say this in this video, and I hope it gets picked up, at least by some people. The reason I don't respond to comments is not because I don't respect the fact people have watched the video and put time into making the comments. I do look at comments occasionally. No, the reason I don't respond to them is severalfold. Firstly, it is time consuming. If I were to respond to every comment, and then there'd be, I think it would get into a back and forth, particularly if someone's disagreeing with me. And it's just time consuming, to be honest. I don't have that much time. I have a life outside YouTube, so I feel if I respond to comments and then they disagree with me, and it just, I just don't see the point of it. I regard my channel as a way to vacuum my opinions, and I leave the comment section open to allow people to disagree with me, but that doesn't mean I'm under any obligation to respond to the disagreements. I hope that makes sense. Um, if my channel was a bit more viral, I would probably make direct responses to a trend of feedback. What I mean by that is um, if there was a generic sort of response that people were making, then I'd probably respond to that. But I mean, those sort of channels that get millions of views, obviously they're not going to respond to individuals because they can't. Well, my channel's hardly in that sort of category. I average views in double figures, sometimes three figures. But sometimes I have a pretty strong impression of what the sort of feedback might be. So I'll give an example. I recently made a video about the current tensions between East and West regarding the China situation. Now, that's a subject I have very strong views on. I know full well that if I look at the comments on that video, they'll just depress me. Because I know full well that while some people might be supporting me, and by the way, thank you for that, that sort of video will also attract Chinese nationalists who um, I have very little respect for, and they have no respect for me. So I don't think I can have dialogue with those sort of people, and I'm not really interested in that because I think that you cannot reason with people who are so brainwashed by jingoism and ultranationalism and communist ideology. I've tried it before. I've tried having a dialogue with such people, and they're not interested. All they're interested in is deflection and whataboutery and pushing their little agenda. In my experience, Chinese communists are they're incapable of critical thinking. Everything to them is about defending the motherland. That's their whole mindset. So if I look at that video, I mean, if I look at the comments, uh, it'll just depress me because I'll want to retort. There'll be personal attacks against myself. I'll want to retort, and it'll just get ugly. It'll put me in a bad mood. It'll depress me, and I don't want to be depressed. So that's just an example. There's other similar sort of videos, particularly on issues like human rights and geopolitical situations. Those sort of Chinese nationals are rank hypocrites because they're using Western websites to defend a regime that blocks Western websites. So the irony is very obvious. To anyone who supported me on that video, incidentally, thank you. I appreciate it. But please understand why I'm not kind of opening myself to looking at that. Some might say that's a little bit cowardly on my part. Maybe it is, but frankly, this is a situation I'd rather be seen of as a card rather than subject myself to depression. which is what it would lead to. I mean, the situation bothers me enough as it is, and there's no way I could have been so open when I was over there. Over there you feel like the walls are listening. Here, no such worries, thank goodness. But I just know that there's certain comments that I look at, I will overthink. I want to get into a lengthy debate with, and for practical reasons, there's time issues, but I don't think they deserve my time. I don't think such people, I'm not going to say necessarily trolling, I'm not sure if it's exactly that. I think they're sincere. I think they're dead wrong, but I think they're sincere in being dead wrong. Um, but basically, I just don't feel an obligation to do it. So I hope that answers why, if anyone's wondering about that. Why do I not respond to comments? That's the reason why. Because certain subjects, I just know that they're going to attract some very negative, um, aggressive sort of commentary, and I'm not going to block them, but I don't think I'm under an obligation to respond. They don't deserve my time. Simple as that. To those who support me and feel disappointed, I'm sorry about that, but please try and understand what I'm saying here. I know there are supportive comments, and I can see the ratio of, for example, likes versus dislikes, which incidentally, the majority of my analytics are likes. I don't lose sleep over something like that, but the trend is definitely a positive one. Nevertheless, I've had my fair share of um, personal attacks and so on, and it's fine. It comes with the territory. I'm not so naive to think that you make videos online, you're not going to get some hostile responses. Whatever. The point I'm making is I've seen this question before, like, oh, this guy doesn't reply. Well, I'm explaining here why I don't. Because think about it, you get a Chinese nationalist who says, "Oh, you're a biased Westerner, you're X, Y, and Z." What exactly are we going to achieve? What exactly am I going to achieve by responding to that sort of comment? Because this is a subject I feel very strongly about. So I'll just retort with an equally hated response, and I don't think that we would reach any. There's certain subjects I do honestly see both sides. So, for example, abortion is something that I can genuinely see both sides, and there's quite a lot of other subjects I can kind of find a halfway house. But something like the censorship of the Chinese Communist Party and the human rights abuses perpetrated by the Chinese Communist Party and the aggressive and arrogant nationalism and the underhand tactics they're using, I'm not neutral on that. I've got nothing but contempt for it. So rather than getting into a situation where it just becomes a mudslinging contest, I just avoid it. If I was a politician or if I was a public figure and I appeared on Question Time or something like that, or I had a radio show, then I'd have to confront, that sort of debate. But as a private individual, I don't have to, so I won't. So I'll leave it there. I'll just say this. Thank you for watching my videos, even the haters. It is amusing that there are people out there who feel that I, an individual, um, young guy from Britain, they get so worked up about the offence to Emperor Xi that they have to vocally respond to me. Now, some people might say, oh, but Nathan, you're just jumping to conclusions. Maybe the comments are positive. Maybe they are, but I'm skeptical because this is the sort of issue. I mean, Chinese nationalists work on overdrive. They're called 50 Cent Army. I've seen it before. I've had my computer hacked by these people. I know what they're capable of. So I just don't want dialogue with them. I don't think they're interested in dialogue. I think the only thing they are interested in is pushing Chinese nationalism, and communist ideology. And that can go straight to hell. I've no respect for it, I've no time for it. Um, I'm not going to feed people like that. So I won't block them, but at least not for now. If it gets personal to a point where I feel my cybersecurity is threatened or anything like that, then I might consider that approach. But for now, my stance is I say what's on my mind. If you disagree, I'll give you the option to say so. But don't expect me to get into a big lengthy dialogue or rather, a big lengthy back and forth debate. It just isn't practical. Feel very free to make feedback videos or response videos. I've made that invitation before for some of my critics and they haven't taken it up. I've said if you feel so strongly, upload a video and critique the points that I've made. I made that point to a Scottish nationalist who was trolling me and he ignored it. He kept challenging me to a debate. I said, okay, let's do it. And then he just mysteriously got quiet. So, put your if you're going to make threats like that or you're going to make sort of propositions, at least follow them up. Right, I'll leave it there. That's it. The bottom line is this is my channel. Okay, it's not actually a democracy, it's my channel. And I could, if I wanted, just block every video from comments. I don't really want to do that because I don't like to say that in videos. So I don't want to do that myself. But I want to be crystal clear. I appreciate positive feedback. I really do. But some people seem to think that I owe them something, that I owe them a response because they've commented. I don't. I comment on videos all the time and I don't expect the person to reply to me. So that's the way YouTube is. People make videos, you can respond or you can not respond, but no one is ever under an obligation to reply to people. I think that's nonsense. So what I would say is don't take it personally. If I don't reply, it's partly for the reasons I've named, but it's also time management. I make probably a video a day. I simply don't have the time to reply to each and every comment. And if you resent that and you say, oh, well, I'm not going to comment anymore, well, that's your choice. But that's the reason why. It's just practical. So I hope this has been a thought-provoking video. And I'm sure not the only YouTuber out there who takes this approach. Thanks for watching.